Okay, guys, it's time to cover the final character that we haven't done a breakdown for, and there's a reason for that. And that's Dhalsim. Are you ready, Mir?
I am ready, but the question is, are the Dhalsim players ready for what waits for them in Street Fighter 6? Ooh.
I'm sure they're very excited through all the footage we've seen. There's a lot to talk about. So, we're going to get to the story really quickly here. We'll talk about him aesthetically, and then we'll get straight to the gameplay because Dhalsim has a lot of cool tools this time. So, let's go
Mhm.
over Dhalsim story mode or storyline that's shown on the Street Fighter 6 website. And it says, a monk and yoga master from India who has served as a guide for countless suffering souls prefers to avoid conflict. That's why he burns people alive in Street Fighter V when
Yeah.
possible. But his innate hatred of evil compels him to dispense stern justice. Mir, what do you think about
One
this?
of the many option selects the Dhalsim
Yes,
player use.
many option selects. It also mentions, since we know that Dhalsim has the Dhalsim stage in this game, like Blanca has the Blanca
Yeah.
stage, they mention the elephant's return and the Dulcimer Temple stage. Hopefully, I pronounced that right. Where
Yeah.
monks study yoga amongst the candles in a peaceful setting. The stage looks great, and the elephants are not like roaring and super annoying like in Street Fighter 2. That could be really loud if you guys played certain versions. Really loud.
Yeah. Hyper fighting vibes. No, I
Yeah,
really like how that stage looks. I think the lighting is great, and the characters are very visible over the dark background. It's
yeah.
just cool with the shrine. It's just like really well done.
Yeah. I mean, there's some fighting games where like when you have a darker setting or a darker stage, sometimes it's really hard to see, especially when you're watching on Twitch. Like you can tell
Yeah.
there's design decisions behind that. Let's go over his hates and likes. He hates
Okay.
distractions and harming others. Once again, that harming others. I mean, come on, man.
I mean,
Like
maybe he doesn't like it, but he engages in harming others pretty often.
he gets distracted pretty often too. Remember the Street Fighter 2 anime? He gets distracted by that robot that was like studying power levels. You know what I mean? When
I
he was
guess he
fighting the
didn't like
monitor.
that either.
He was like, no, Ryu. It was Ryu that distracted him. It's like that power level, right? Ryu just standing there. He went nuts. Uh, he likes meditating. And by meditating, he also likes downplaying his character too. I think that's
I
another
feel
thing.
like that wasn't part of the official notes.
Come on, man. Every Dawson player downplays like crazy. He's gonna downplay against Street Fighter 6. His height and weight are worth mentioning because it says he's 5'9", but it says can vary. And his weight is 106 pounds, but also can vary, which I thought was a nice little touch that Capcom added.
Yeah. It can vary when he's meeting up with a girl. It's like, how tall are you? 5'9". It's like, ooh. Oh, actually 6'2". It's like, oh.
Or yeah, he's buying a pair of shoes and like, sorry, sir, we don't have size 9 or size 10. And Dawson's like, no problem, yoga. So aesthetically, Mir, I mean, when I saw the artwork from the leak from before, I'm like, oh, Dawson looks really old. Like he looks like he's ready to
Mhm.
pack it up, But and he
To
looks,
kick the bucket.
yeah, dude, he looks extra skinny in this. Like you can see underneath his rib cage. I'm like,
Mm,
ugh, like he looks really
yeah, it's pretty
skinny.
skeletal. Yeah, that's true.
And he's more like elastically than he ever was. That's one thing I like about Street Fighter 4. It's also that's when they really started because he had to go from sprites right into 3D.
Right.
So it was quite a challenge for the Street Fighter team to carry over to that. And what they did is they made him in 3D very elasticy, so that when he's like recovering from his attacks, you see it kind of like curl up as it comes back towards him or retracts,
Yeah.
which I always liked. It was always really cool animations for Dawson. Very clever design. So,
Yeah.
and they also mentioned Mir. They changed his necklace.
Right. That's true. He used to have a necklace made of children's skulls. So I think it fits into his story, right? Because it's something like there were children from his village, and
Yeah.
he uses that as a memento.
hmm
But I guess I don't know. Maybe it wasn't politically correct enough, and they changed it now.
Now
Or
he's got
maybe
like
I don't
the
know. Maybe I'm just looking too much into it, and it was just an artistic decision.
Yeah, I mean, all these characters are like masters now, and now he's got like this golden kind of necklace where it shows like the yoga pose.
Yeah, it's doing like oh, I don't even know if I get imitated, but it's like
Don't hurt yourself, Mir.
some meditation stance that he often does when he's like floating around and such. So maybe
hmm
it's to represent his mastery of yoga.
hmm Another cool thing, like with his animations, is when he's like molding the fire. Like when he shoots his yoga fire, like he makes the O with his hand, or he
Yeah.
you can see him like molding the fire with his super. It looks so good, and you can see him when he's gasping in so much air, and his belly is like a hot air balloon. Like it's
Yeah.
really wild. Yeah, not saying I'm a Dhalsim fan. I just really appreciate the animations
Unless.
of the character. Okay. Any last things you want to talk about Dhalsim with his story or aesthetic? Mira, otherwise we're gonna go straight into the gameplay
No, there's not much else to say. I mean, unless you like Stretch Armstrong, and then you'll probably be
here.
very excited.
Okay, let's get into the gameplay now, guys. So, like he has most of his command normals. Like we see the back medium kick, for example.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think the normal wise that's worth mentioning is his standing heavy punch. It's like back to his classic Street Fighter Two standing heavy punch. You notice that?
Right. Yeah, and it seems to have a lot of range. Probably doesn't hit low, but he also has a normal that looks a lot like his Street Fighter Five standing heavy punch. So he probably has both. Maybe that one's the command normal instead.
Really? Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't like one thing like Dhalsim in Street Fighter Five. It took a really long time for Dhalsim players to adjust to because he was just so different. I remember there was a lot of
Yeah.
complaining about Dhalsim because in Street Fighter Four, Dhalsim had like the yoga tower. Remember that move?
Yeah. Yeah.
And his standing heavy punch was like, his moves were like really fast, but now in Street Fighter 5, everything was very specific. The heavy punch, it hit low, it went underneath fireballs, and his
Right.
his yoga fire went up, and it was too much, right? It was so different. So now they're
Hmm.
kind of going back to that Street Fighter 2 style. Another thing we should mention too, Mir, is that standing heavy kick dry rush combo, because that's
Right.
what stood out from everything. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, Dawson's gonna be rushing you down." What do you think about that combo?
What that means is, well, I mean, the combo seems fine, I suppose, but what that means is that the standing heavy kick itself must be cancelable because that's how it works.
Yeah.
So be ready for standing heavy kick into yoga fire. I think that's more dangerous than the drive rush.
Maybe it is a dead zone where the standing head kick won't even hit you. Like it'll go right
Yeah, it's
past you.
possible. Maybe it whiffs some crouchers if you're really far away.
Right, right. Another thing worth mentioning is in that footage, if you look at it very carefully, when he hits Chun Li, you see the spark effect and you see Chun Li spinning around. So we know it's a
Right.
crush counter, right?
Yeah.
Or a punish
Like a punish
counter.
counter. Yeah.
And so, it hopefully means that a standing heavy kick raw is not enough for him to convert like that. It
Right.
has to
Yeah.
be a punish counter. So, movie magic, right?
Movie magic.
Movie magic. Another thing worth mentioning with just like the normals mirror is his yoga mummy's back.
I never quite figured out what this was for. As not a Dawson player, but I guess the angle and the speed maybe is different than his drill kicks. At first, we thought that the drill kicks were gone, but those are in the game. We see
Yeah,
them at least once,
right.
and the drill kicks go straight down, right? Or well, not quite straight down, but at a very steep angle.
Three
So the
angles.
yoga
Yeah,
mummy is more for hitting the opponent when you cancel it in the air.
right. Oh, we should have explained what yoga mummy is. Sorry. The yoga mummy,
Right.
guys, is when you press down and punch in the air, and Dawson goes horizontally in a drill rather than like straight down with the kicks. So now
Hmm.
Dawson, once again, back to that Street Fighter 2 feel of Dawson. The director has like a huge fondness for
Yeah.
Street Fighter 2. So he's getting like a lot of those kind of command normals back, and help Dawson with the different trajectories and stuff moving
Hmm.
around the screen.
And he hits you with his head
And he hits
instead
with
of
his
his
head.
feet.
Okay, so now let's talk about all of his special moves, and he has a lot, Mirror, and they all have to do with fire, all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Yoga fire. So his
Right.
traditional fireball, it goes straight, just like before, and this is really good. I'm sure DOS players will be happy. It was quite clunky to use this yoga fire in the way in Street Fighter V, where it always arches over,
Hmm.
and they had to use the EX version in Street Fighter V to make it go straight, which obviously
Right.
uses resources. But this time around, you have three versions, and they all go straight.
Right. It's clearly better for zoning because obviously it creates a fireball in front of you that it's you have to deal with.
Yeah,
And you mentioned there's different versions, and we see that the heavy version has massive startup. It takes a really long time,
yeah,
but it is 2 hits and it knocks down.
yeah. If you guys didn't notice that, his normal heavy fireball knocks down and does two hits. But when, like Mir said, the startup is. I think the startup on all his fireballs, honestly, the yoga fire are pretty
Hmm.
slow compared to other fireballs. Kind of looking at the footage, it seems like it.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if the light yoga fire, which is the only one that is, normal speed, actually goes full screen, because
Right.
we see some other of his fireballs that don't actually go full screen. So that might be the trade-off. The light one is fast, but doesn't go full screen. The medium one is a little bit slower, goes full screen. The heavy one is the slowest, but obviously 2 hits knocks down.
Right. So I think this makes sense because in Street Fighter Five, the thing is when Dhalsim's throwing his normal fireballs, he's not covering the space in front of him, so the opponent can dash forward on him. Like he's very
Right.
open when he does the fireball. Whereas now as it goes straight, he's obviously covering the ground. And when you go in against other zoners, if he throws a fireball, that fireball is just going to go straight to his face. So it was kind
Hmm.
of weird to adjust to. But now, seeing with the drive system now and the drive impact and all of that, I can understand why they gave him the straight fireball. But don't worry, Capcom just didn't take away, they giveth. And now he has both fireballs, the Yoga Arch, they call it. The angled fireball is just a separate move entirely now. So now he gets the arch fireballs too.
Right. It goes up on an angle, and interestingly, he gets the V skill 2 empowered
Yeah,
fireball as an overdrive, which bounces around and like can hit you from the other side. I mean, obviously you're blocking Dhalsim, so it's not like you have to block different directions. But then you can start doing his trickery with the teleport, and that becomes difficult.
right. Do you think they're low key not showing that he has his V skill too? Or you think it actually just is his OD version of his Yoga
No,
Arch?
yeah, I think it's just his overdrive, right?
Okay,
Like it seems odd, especially because a lot of the characters so far, when they have um, one of their buffs,
the
they
stocks.
kind of like show it on their body
Yeah,
in a way or another. So like in
that's true.
Dhalsim, we don't really see anything. So that'd be
Right.
odd if it'd be the exception.
Okay. So he's got a fireball that goes straight. He's got a fireball that goes in an arch, but that's not good enough, Mir. He needs more. He needs
Yes,
an air fireball, of course.
yes. And this one goes down.
Yoga Comet. So now Dawson has an air fireball that goes diagonally downwards towards the opponent. The cool thing about this fireball is that it knocks him away. The normal version, like he gets knocked back and he
Mhm.
falls to the ground. He doesn't like go forward like a Kuma. It kind of makes me feel like like an SNK character. I can't quite figure out.
Yeah, I think Geese Howard does that when he does his air fireballs, right?
Like geese. Yeah, yeah. He like it's just I like the animation too. It's really cool. But
Hmm.
you can remedy this with the OD version. The OD version, it seems like he recovers immediately, Mir, because we see him go
Right.
straight into Yoga Mummy.
Yeah, I guess another thing that's important about this is that if he does a fireball in the air, he can still act afterwards because we see him teleport in the footage.
Right, right,
So,
exactly.
usually when you do stuff in the air, that's the last thing that you do. But I guess because Dhalsim's jump is so floaty, they thought that it'd be a good idea if you could keep doing things.
Right, and this will obviously help Dalsum greatly
Yeah.
on his pressure and mix-ups because Dalsum, he can float and all that. He's in the air, but he's not super threatening because he can't throw fireballs. Right, he can only just teleport and then use the mummy or the drill or his buttons to kind of manipulate. But now
Hmm.
having a fireball as well makes him very threatening because he's hard to reach. He's floating away from you, but then
Yeah.
he can throw a fireball safely at an angle that you can't deal with, and then can mix you up from there with the teleport, right?
Right. I would
Uh,
assume that the counterplay here is to dash under and hit him in the air before he can recover, because obviously otherwise he can teleport away.
right, right. Also, with that being said, Mir, I noticed that the normal versions of fireballs don't quite go full screen. Like the fireball will
Right.
disappear after a certain
Hmm.
range. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It kind of like ties in with what we were saying together. Maybe especially because the air fireball is obviously so strong,
yeah,
they didn't want him to have something that could just cover the entirety of the screen. Maybe the
right.
heavier versions that have more startup and thus are easier to punish, if you are looking out for it.
Hmm.
Those might go full screen instead.
Hmm. Okay, moving on. More fire. Still more fire, Mir.
Yeah.
Yoga Flame. So Yoga Flame returns, and the biggest noticeable thing about Yoga Flame here is the range. The range
Right.
is like usually Yoga Flame is like this kind of ball in front of him, but no, it's like a huge stream.
It's a flamethrower.
It's a flamethrower. Exactly. I was just gonna say that he's got a flamethrower. So how do you feel about this?
Again, it seems like it different based on the versions, and the slower versions have the longer range. So it seems like they have quite a bit of risk associated with them, especially if an opponent is jumping and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's how they balance the entire character. To be honest, it seems to be the case.
Yeah,
It's gonna be useful for zoning out certain characters that have armor moves because obviously it hits multiple times. Like a persisting hitbox. It's just it's like you're a better fireball that you can use from up close because it technically travels faster to the maximum distance,
yeah.
right? But it doesn't go full screen, so it's an alternative that you can use to the Yoga Fire, and obviously you can use it in combos as well. Maybe the light and the medium version, especially.
Yeah, like everyone, like Dhalsim's very susceptible to drive impact. Obviously, everyone's thinking drive
Hmm.
impact against Dhalsim, so they gotta give
Yeah.
him a tool that can blow up drive impact. So I think Yoga Flame will be the go-to, right, for
Hmm.
blowing it up.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Pretty sure. Another thing worth mentioning, Mir, like a lot of the other returning characters, the OD version of his Yoga Flame knocks the opponent up for an easy juggle. He can go into like his level 1 or level 2 or level 3, whatever. Like it's an easy
Hmm.
juggle.
Yeah. Again, it feels like it's specific to certain characters. Like we've seen multiple characters that have juggles into supers, and that kind of lets you bypass the necessity of like having to do a normal into a level 1 or an OD into level 2.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like everyone gets them, so they're pretty deliberate with who gets what in Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, I just noticed in particular between Blanca, Dalsum, and Honda, all three characters have that kind of juggle. All three.
Hmm.
So I just
Yeah, but
think it was
not
worth
not every
mentioning.
one of the rest of the cast does.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Just coincidence.
yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Yoga Blast. Another fire move. So this is the Yoga Flame that goes upwards. And it's
Hmm.
particularly an anti-air. But the big thing, Mirror, is it's fast. It's like
Yeah,
instant. It's super fast.
yeah. I mean, if it is meant to be an anti-air, I wouldn't imagine this being invulnerable. So it needs to be fast, right?
Yeah.
And we see it used in a combo in some of the footage. I think he does back medium punch into the Yoga Blast.
Yeah.
So it's possible that the Yoga Flame might be too slow for most combos, and the Yoga Blast you'd have to use it in combos because it is faster.
Right, like the Yoga Flame, maybe they wanted to OD it for that juggle combo we were just talking
Right.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's good that Dalsum has the blast back,
Hmm.
right? Because then he doesn't have to rely on buttons to anti-air all the time, right? Or to slide to maneuver around the opponent. Now he
Right.
actually has like a go-to clear, special move anti-air, right?
Well, I guess another thing that we could mention is the fact that it's crouching medium punch
Yeah.
and it goes straight, right? Like we see it in that drive rush combo, and I mean in general being used. Well, in Street Fighter 5 it was an anti-air, and we don't see his back heavy punch, which is like the long stretchy anti-air heavy
We
punch
do.
that
We
he
do
has in
actually
Street
see
Fighter
it.
5.
There's one that goes diagonal, yeah. It's really
So,
diagonal.
so maybe he's gonna rely on Yoga Blast to anti-air at this time. Maybe his jab is still gonna be useful, but aside
Probably.
from that, maybe that's why they made it this fast because he needs it.
Right, right. Like I said, if people are going to be jumping on Dawson like crazy, he's going to be really slippery. But having a move,
Mhm.
especially when it comes out that quick, is cool. Especially since you can combo into it.
Yeah,
Okay, I think that's it for fire attacks until we get to the supers. Now, his V skill 1 returns mirror, where he's
yeah.
floating and meditating around. he still has it. Um,
It seems like just really important for his game plan ever since Street Fighter 5, right? So having this extra mobility in the air to give him some time to decide what to do really helps him decide the pace of the match, right?
right. And it's gonna go hand in hand with this Yoga Comet now that he has in Street Fighter 6. So I think it'll be a lot more useful this time around, using the
Hmm.
Yoga Float.
Yeah, and you can still use it from the ground, and just like Street Fighter 5, he stretches up and then starts floating.
Yeah, the animation for it is also more obvious. Like he glows, like when
Hmm.
he's floating around. It's kind of blurry too. So the
Yeah,
animation looks really nice for that. He also, of course, has his teleport, Yoga teleport, and it seems to act the
yeah.
same way. When we see him do that big teleport combo, he like lands with a like jumping heavy punch, and it's like his hands are so elasticy when he does it. It's like really crazy.
Hmm. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the footage that we see so far, we only see him teleport towards the opponent. But I would imagine that you would still be able to teleport away, right?
I don't think I remember seeing him teleport away in the on all the footage we have, which is very limited. But I mean,
Hmm.
why wouldn't he have it, But
Yeah.
we'll see if how it acts, like his wake up yoga teleport, like if he can still throw it like in Street Fighter 5,
Mm,
right? We'll see if he uses it as a like an escape option, because I doubt
yeah.
he'll have a reversal, right?
But then you do instant air yoga teleport.
Yeah, instant air, I guess. Okay, that's all of his special moves, but you notice, Mir, there's something in particular missing, right? I'm not talking about Yoga Tower. What happened to Yoga Gale? There's no Yoga Gale.
They realized that they didn't want to see it anymore. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, uh, I don't particularly like its implementation in Street Fighter 5. It's cool for combos in the air, but
Yeah,
obviously it was mostly used as a pressure tool, and they had to nerf it a few times because
yeah,
of how it interacts with the system, right? Being a fireball and all of that.
yeah.
So it's possible that since you got three new special moves, they were like, okay, well, this one can sit it out, for this installation of the game.
Yeah, Yoga Gale. So if you guys don't know, that's his Yoga Flame in the air that hits
Hmm.
downwards, and it was a very oppressive pressure move in Street Fighter Five, where you're plus 1 billion. It doesn't look like you're plus, but you are. And
Yeah.
Dhalsim can literally shimmy you with this move because he's so insanely
Yeah,
plus.
that just tells you how plus it is.
Yeah, it's very plus, and yes, Capcom did have to nerf it a couple of times. So yeah, it
Hmm.
seems to be missing from Street Fighter Six. And that's it for his special moves, guys. So finally, we're gonna talk about his supers. And interestingly, we see all three of his supers, which is odd because we didn't see that for Honda and Blanca. So his level 1 super Amir is his Yoga Inferno. It's the flame carpet.
Hmm. I noticed that it has different versions across the footage that we've seen.
Yeah.
There seems to be one that hits on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
like a flame carpet. Then there's another one where he's kind of like just flaming you all over,
Yeah.
and then another one that hits up
Right.
and seems to be used for juggles mostly,
Yeah.
or maybe anti-airs too if it is
Yeah,
invulnerable.
if it's fast enough. So he has some flexibility there where he can aim it, kind of like Guile's, Sonic Hurricane Super now, which is
Hmm.
interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know in particular when you'd want to do the down version. Must be very
Mm.
specific because we see from the OD Yoga Flame, we see one instance he combos into it, the Yoga Inferno on the ground, the carpet. But then we see the avatars do it in World Tour, and he does the upper one and it combos anyways. So just kind
Hmm.
of wondering what the
It's
down one
possible
is
that
for.
the mid one and the down one have different wake up situations afterwards.
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe.
one knocks them further away and is better for going back to zoning, while
Yeah.
another one is the one that you would want to use if you want to rush down. But then again, he has a teleport, so I don't know.
Okay, his level 2 mirror is his super in Street Fighter 5. It's the big yoga ball that comes at you very slowly in an arch,
Mhm.
and Dawson can, scheme a disastrous mix up as it's coming down. And for some reason, you see Dawson players do it as a reversal all the
I mean,
time.
it is invulnerable.
I guess, right? I see Dawson getting thrown a lot out of it too. Uh,
Hmm.
the only thing I can really talk about this one, Mirror, is in particular, I just really like the animation of this super. It
Yeah.
looks really slow startup though, but it is a
Mm.
utility super, right?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say again, most level twos tend to be some sort of utility super or have some utility. And again, another chargeable super, as we've seen, Ryu has one as well.
Hmm.
So it's possible that just doing a level two without charging it up still could be very useful in some combos.
Right,
But clearly, they wanted to show the fact that you could still charge it because that's the unique feature about it. So
right.
I don't know. Maybe someone will come up with some setups where this is useful. Because again, I cannot see it being used in neutral. You're just gonna get hit, I think.
Yeah, I see a lot of players like will be holding down parry so they don't have to guess, and then too bad Dawson doesn't have that grabby arms move from Street Fighter EX where he stretches his arms out and he grabs you. Why doesn't he have that move?
The huge hand, the
Oh, it'd
command
be
throw.
so good. It'd be so good in this game for that. It would combo so well. If they parry, you grab their ass. Yeah. Okay. His level 3. No comment. Mir, you can talk about his level 3.
I'm told it is a One Piece reference, and by I'm told I mean I'm pretty sure that it is.
It's really wild. He's doing like 100 hand slap from like 100 yards away. I don't really know what to say about this one. For
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't like violence or fighting, he sure comes with elaborate ways to kill people in this game.
Well, I mean, he's gotta get any kind of enjoyment out of something he doesn't like, you know? It's like those people that go to work and have their cubicle look all nice so that at least they don't hate it being there.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that super is really crazy. It's really crazy looking. But I'm glad we got a preview of it. And
Mhm.
I think that's pretty much it, Mir. That's with all the limited footage we have. I guess I'll say Dhalsim will be broken in extreme battle mode. Any final thoughts about the character, Mir?
Yes. In case since we never mentioned the slides, someone would be like, "Oh, finally they removed the slides." But no, his crouching like kick slide is still in. So ha ha ha. It's probably still 4 frames too. You
Why
bet.
would they remove the slides? There's no way they're gonna remove the slides. He'll be able to drive rush from the slide, by the way. You know
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah, probably cancelable. Yeah.
So yeah, Dhalsim fans out there, you guys got a lot more tools. If you guys are more of an old school Dhalsim player, I think you guys will like this version because there's a lot of traditional moves. Returning, of course, with that Street Fighter 6 spice. And
Hmm.
he has like his V skills returning too. V skill 2 seems to be built in with his arch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the question is, how strong will Dhalsim be? Dhalsim is traditionally a pretty strong character in most Street Fighter games, but with the introduction of the parry, drive impact, we'll have to see. But of course, Dhalsim has those tools as well.
Right.
So it'll be very interesting when we get to see the newest build of Street Fighter 6 and see how Dhalsim actually plays and see where this character goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, the only real zoner in the game, Guile, seems quite good. So maybe Dawson will also be able to use the system to his advantage, just like
Hmm.
he does.
Right.
So yeah, we'll have to see. I
Hmm.
mean, hopefully the Dawson players will be happy with what they get, but
Hmm.
we know how that goes. They probably will still complain.
Yeah, no more like the V trigger one carpet, and you're just holding neutral jump as you see your gray health draining down. I thought that was really
Yeah.
weird in Street Fighter Five. The more I think about it, but guys, let us know in the comments below what you guys think of the Street Fighter Six version of Dhalsim. And yeah, we will get back to you guys when they finally announce another character, and of course, we'll keep breaking it down. But at least me and Mir are finally caught up. By the way, if you guys haven't heard Dhalsim's theme, I'll be sure to play that at the end of this video, and you guys can tell me if you like it or not. Because people say it's a banger. It's one of the best ones. I, in particular, like Dhalsim's theme. I think it's got a really good beat to it.
But is it as good as Blanca's theme?
No, it's not.
どうしたもう